is Elizabeth Lang Barton here live at MBA Annual with Talk Data to Me with the lovely Suha. How are you doing, Suha?
I'm doing great. How are you, Allie?
Wonderful. We are so happy to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
And we're talking about something that is near and dear to my heart. And I'm sure it is near and dear to yours. We're talking about what it truly means to be a data-driven organization. So let's just start. What does it mean to be data-driven?
Honestly, it just means that you're using the data that you have to make strategic decisions.
Right.
You're actually analyzing that data, creating information out of it, and then using that data to make the right decision at the right time.
Right. So when we're thinking about that model, a lot of us pull analytics. We look at our product utilization.
Yep.
We look at, from the lender's perspective, they're looking at what clients are returning, what borrowers.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're looking at what our metrics are. But a lot of the times we're getting very, let's say, focused on the previous historic data.
The trends.
We're looking at what has happened in the past and not really calculating what's going to happen in the future with the current market, with the trends in consumer behavior. So let's start with, why are we relying on that historical data, do you think?
Because first off, it gives us a picture of what has happened. We have to understand what our current state is. We have to understand where we have, for example, you're talking about operations and stuff like that. You need to know where are your bottlenecks. So you want to look at what is currently happening in your organization.
Right.
And the way you do that is you pull the data, you analyze it, and you create analytics out of it that gives you that rear view mirror.
Right.
This is what's happened. Oh, look, it's taking our underwriters 15 days to underwrite a loan.
Right.
That's terrible. What do I need to do?
Right.
Because your goal is to better serve your customers. Are you going to use the data to do that?
So you're using your data more as a way to find inefficiencies.
When you're looking in trends.
Right.
Now, when you start to look forward, when you're now looking through the front of your car, if you want to think of it that way, now you're using the data to predict what might happen.
Okay.
And then that prediction helps you understand what could occur based on your historical trends.
Okay, so if we're talking about this in practice, how is an organization leveraging that future-looking perspective?
Because what they want to do is they want to take it a step further.
Okay.
They want to predict what may happen,
Right.
but then they want to be prescriptive about it.
Okay.
And by prescriptive, I mean, now you look at, this is what may happen, and here are my options to avoid that happening, or if it's a good thing, to make it continue to happen.
Right.
So you're kind of like analyzing the data, understanding what's happened in the past,
Okay.
predicting the future, doing some forecasting,
Right.
and then taking that a step further and saying, okay, now what are the different options that I can apply in this situation to improve what's happening?
Right. So with our current market, this becomes a little bit more challenging.
Of course it does.
So how can lenders take that forward-looking approach, not necessarily knowing what rate hikes are going to happen, what new technology is going to come onto the horizon?
So I'm going to give you an example that's really not related to the mortgage, but it really will clarify what we're talking about.
Right.
So weather. You know what's happened. You know what the weather was yesterday and the day before.
Right.
You forecast what may happen. And let's say you sell running shoes and you know when the weather gets better, people are going to run. They go outside and they want to buy sneakers.
Right.
So as you're creating your supply chain prediction, you're thinking about, okay, well, from the south to the north, the weather improves not at the same rate.
Right.
So when you're determining, okay, I need to push sneakers to Florida in March, I need to push sneakers to Virginia in April or May.
Right.
And as you move up the states, that's helping you analyze, okay, this is where I need to send my supply chain.
Right.
And you can do the same thing with mortgages. You could do the same thing in predicting, okay, if the rates do this, then this may be the action that I want to take. So for example, rates continue to rise. Do you want to offer HELOCs? Is that something that you could offer your customers? Do you want to offer them lines of credit? Do you want to, if you have seniors in your customer base, can you offer them a reverse mortgage?
Right.
It helps you, knowing where or predicting where it's going will help you sort of put a roadmap. I can do this as an option. And sometimes you're looking at different options and say, you know what, of all of those, this is the optimal thing I'm going to do now.
Right.
And it's continuous.
Okay.
You keep doing that over and over. So you don't just do it once and sit back and say, okay, I'm done.
Right.
That's it. I did it. It's all over.
Right.
No, not at all. It's a continuous thing. You keep looking at the data. You keep doing your analyses and you keep doing your trending, forecasting, and prescripting.
Right. So let's say I'm a lender and I want to get into this. I want to start being more prescriptive instead of looking at that trend data.
Yeah.
Where do I even start?
So first, you have to know where your data sources are. You have to know what kind of data you're looking at.
Okay.
And you have to know what your challenges are so you can collect the right data, normalize it, clean it, make sure that you can, do some ETL on it, transfer it, and then start to run analyses on it. There are tons of tools. I'm not going to name any because I don't want to sound, like biased towards one or the other.
The one thing I think about when you just said that, though, in our team, when we're talking about analytics and we're talking about our data, we're going, okay, garbage in, garbage out. You need to make sure that QC happens.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not cleaning up that data, you don't know what's going to come out and you make a prediction and then the forecast isn't correct.
Absolutely. So part of the data normalization and cleaning is where you start to codify the data.
Right.
So, a lot of times it may be, free text, or it may be, text-oriented, more text-oriented than coded. And so you start to build that mapping. You start to create those translations, if you will, so that when you're analyzing the data, it all makes sense.
Right.
And you have taken care. I mean, you definitely want to eliminate any, anything that's like, an anomaly or doesn't really fit.
Almost like you wanna do like a bell curve.
Yeah.
When you grade, you have a bell curve. You're looking at your data. You have a bell curve. You throw out the highest, throw out the lowest.
That's a great analogy. Exactly.
You want to be somewhere in that middle section.
Absolutely, because that's then you have a good set of data that
you have a good sample there.
A good sample that you're analyzing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you clean your data. Then what?
Then you start putting it in a model. Now you start to have to build your model. Again, there's tons of
How do you
tools.
know what the right model is for you if you're a lender?
Again, it depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Okay.
It really does. I mean, there's no one size fits all.
Okay.
And so you're looking at, can I use artificial intelligence when I'm doing my analysis?
Right.
Can I do some deep machine learning as it's looking at it? Because you want something that's going to start to learn from itself to help you with that predictive, prescriptive analytics that you're creating. So you start building models and definitely start small. You do not want to go, oh, you know what, I'm going to get like an IBM 3070 mainframe and start running all my stuff through. Start small. Start with one challenge. Narrow the focus down. Look at the data, clean the data, build the model around it. A lot of times I've talked to lenders that they do it manually initially. They actually start looking at it. Okay, well, I can see the trend here. I can do this. I can tweak that. That helps you develop that automation that you're looking for.
Okay. So a lot of the automation is coming through on that more forward looking.
Exactly.
So start with your trending data, start with your analytics on the back.
Absolutely.
And then work forward.
Absolutely.
That is wonderful advice, Suha. And thank you so much for joining us. Is there any other advice you have to lenders right now, given our market, given the technology?
There's a lot of advice that I can give, but you know what? I mean, this is really the time to invest to grow your organization.
Yeah.
I know it's a down market, but this is the time that you have the bandwidth because it's cyclical.
Right.
It's going to get busy again.
Yeah.
And if you haven't put in the right framework that you need now when you have the time and you have the bandwidth, especially when it comes to analytics and data and reports and that kind of stuff, then when it gets busy, you're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
This is the right time to invest in technology, to invest in innovation, to rethink how you do things and use the data that's at your fingertips to do that.
Yeah, we love data. We love data.
I'm a data whisperer, as they call me.
Ooh, I like that. Suha, the data whisperer.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, Suha, the data whisperer, for joining us on Talk Data to Me.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.